Hi, I'm Kiwi,
And I'm Jarad.
and we are the two gentlemen, coming to you like a thunderbolt of lightning, but not very, very frightening. Jarad, how are you?
Far from frightening, yeah. Yeah, I'm okay. I'm okay. I've been busy, busy time of year. But yeah, loving life at the moment. We've been cleaning up well, it started in the girls' rooms. We were trying to clean up their books. Like they've got a lot of books and things like that the books are a lot younger than what the girls are.
Yep.
And we keep them for sentimental value and things like that. But there's some that we need to clear out. And we're updating their books. They're reading more chapter style books and things like that.
Yep.
So that started me on my bookshelf. And so I looked at my bookshelf and I'm like, oh, I haven't read that book. So I put it in a pile. And when I counted them, I got 17 books to read. So I'm going to be busy. I used to read a bit, but now for a while, I think I find myself wasting time just staring at the TV or my phone. So it's time to get back into the books. But yeah, like I said, I got 17. So I'm 2 chapters into my first one. So I might have to up the ante of reading. I have to take a book everywhere I go.
Yeah, awesome.
Yeah. So it's all different too. Like they're not just like one genre or something. It's all sort of different. I'm into I don't read books I don't read stories. I like to read real life stuff like people's lives or biographies or, about a certain event in history or things like that. So yeah, so it's going to be fun. Bury myself in literature.
Yeah. That'll be an awesome summer.
Yeah. I'm going to have to sit on the front, the chairs over at the front there and just read my days away.
Nice. You can share it with us.
Yeah, maybe do a book club. Yeah, it's going to take me a while, so it's probably going to be like every 85th episode or something. How are you, mate? Good?
Yeah, I'm pretty good. I read a book last week, actually. Our lovely listener Zero, Sophia, bought me a book for my birthday.
Oh, cool.
Tomorrow and Tomorrow and Tomorrow. It was, really, really good. I really enjoyed it. Really well written. I learned a lot reading it. So, yeah, I recommend it.
Do you allot a time for reading? Like, do you just do it when you feel like it? Or do you just sort of like, this is daddy's reading time?
You know what? There's always time. You get up in the morning before anyone else is up. There's always time to do something. What do you end up doing? I've lost myself playing games of chess, for example, online. I've lost myself online reading something that I shouldn't have been reading. I'm like, oh my gosh, I once wasted a whole afternoon researching Elvis Presley. Like, for no reason. I heard him on TV. I was like, Elvis, I don't know anything about Elvis. Let me have a look. And then it was just gone. The day was gone. I was like, oh, wow. I've fallen down this vortex. There's always time. Right. Yeah. There's no excuses for not reading.
We could have stumbled into a subject here, mate. I tell you, losing time. Yeah, no, you're true. Yeah, you're right. When you prioritize it, though, yeah, it's good.
Yeah, I just want to give a shout out to somebody before I forget. Bumped into somebody last night, an old listener actually, Victoria. It was lovely seeing you, and I told her I'd give her a shout out. It's also her birthday this week, so happy birthday, Victoria! You've now been immortalized on the Two Gentlemen.
That's quite a unique list, isn't it?
I know you've made it when you get a shout out.
I was about to say, I don't know if it has that sort of power that we think it has. No.
It was really nice seeing you, Victoria, and we've stimulated some discussion this morning, Jarad and I, talking about our topics and catching up with an old friend. I thought about how it feels being around certain people. Yep. And of course, that shifts according to the circumstances. And, there's some people that I've had some conflict with in the past where it's kind of brought up some bad vibes and it kind of leaves things unsaid. It's got me onto the topic of, I suppose, having my feelings hurt. As a man, it's not something you really want to say. Hey, you hurt my feelings. That's something that a kid might say, when they get hauled into the principal's office. What happened? Yep. Oh, well, he hurt my feelings. As grown men, we don't say that, but it doesn't mean that our feelings haven't been hurt. And I've been around a certain person recently who I've had some great times with, but I've also had some really, really bad times with.
Yep.
And I didn't say that sentence, "You hurt my feelings," but I wish I had said it at least to myself, because she did hurt my feelings.
Yep.
And as a
Yep.
grown man, especially as, someone who I think, I'm trying to be a calm and mature person all the time.
Yeah.
It's hard to say that. It's almost like conceding defeat in a way, isn't it?
It is, and I guess the more you spoke then, the like it's almost like you feel as maybe you feel weak, like you shouldn't even say that, so you tend to just ignore it. And like you said, I wish I kind of said it or voiced it to myself or said it to them. It might have actually, gained you some more time together, or it might have got you back together quicker.
Yeah.
If you address the situation. But I think it's all too common that we take that on board and then we go off on our own and fester on it, or let it become bigger than it is, even if and I guess I'm talking more, and I hope I'm on the right wavelength to you, but I'm talking more like, nothing big. We're just, either something was said or off the cuff that probably didn't mean anything to them, or something was done that you construed a certain way, or nothing too big that can't really be sorted out. But because it didn't get addressed at the time, or within a decent time frame, it's become quite an issue. And we tend to just write it off, don't we? We just tend to say, well, that was nasty, or that wasn't very nice, or whatever, and then that builds up and becomes to a certain. Sometimes it ruins friendships.
Absolutely. And I guess at that point you need to weigh up: is this friendship or relationship, could be with a family member, is this worth salvaging? And if it isn't, that's a pretty big call, isn't it? If you say, no, that's it, I'm cutting you off. I'm not dealing with this ever again. And that's what it means when you're not acknowledging the hurt, that you're feeling like, oh, well, there's no point even exploring those feelings because I'm never going to deal with this person again. I mean, if I were dealing with a customer, for example, and I was just working in a gas station or something where you don't have to see them on an intimate level, and, they were rude to me, you'd be able to just brush that off, wouldn't you? And, it's not like you have to go, oh my gosh, that customer hurt my feelings, let's explore this. I'll contact, the employee assistance program and discuss this one moment. It doesn't matter. But, when it's with somebody who's close to you, or even not that close, but still you consider a friend, it can really knock you about.
And I think that's where you hear the people say, oh, you've got to talk it out, or you got to talk about this, or you got to, like, people from an outside would tell you to discuss it with that person if it was somebody like, friends or family that you do have to see again and do want to see again. And the everything is worth salvaging, and it's only just, a few things that have occurred that are a bit worrying, and it's worth addressing the situation, but it's not natural for me. But I can tell you, it when you do address it, it usually becomes the issue usually dissolves. Usually, like, I'm not suggesting that it always dissolves, but if you approach it maturely and the other person or people are approaching it the same way, it usually, and everyone has, everyone wants to get back on the same wavelength or whatever, but it usually works out. So I would suggest talking about it, but it's not natural, I must say.
You just said something really important in there, Jarad. You said that if everyone wants to get back on the same wavelength, or, back to how things were. That's the key, isn't it? That you both have to want to come to the table. And I think a lot of the issue with, I suppose we're talking about forgiveness now, with patching things up or forgiveness, is that both sides have to be willing. And when you've only got, for example, one party, you or me, wanting to, patch things up and have a chat about it, whereas the other person hasn't acknowledged their contribution to the situation, it makes things tricky, doesn't it?
Yeah, it certainly does. This is where we're really going into sort of deep water here. This is where, rifts happen when somebody feels hurt or damaged for whatever reason, and the other person doesn't acknowledge it the way that they want to acknowledge it. Look, this is all where it all starts, isn't it?
Yeah.
If you can't even start the conversation in the same ballpark or in the same space, then it can be tough.
For sure. It's like the pebble in the shoe. You address it early, you just take it out, and it's like everything's okay.
Yeah.
You leave it in there, and there's this one tiny little thing that you never dealt with can cause so much down the line, and then it all blows up.
True, very true. I never heard that before.
No, it's just an analogy I thought of then. It's something that I suppose I've been in situations myself where there's a little thing that's unsaid.
Yeah.
And then I wasn't mature enough to deal with it. That's the truth. And this is as an adult.
Yeah.
Where and I've said it before that I've thought, I don't want to hurt that person's feelings, but really my issue is I can't handle hurting someone. That's the real issue. These adults that I'm dealing with, they are responsible for their own feelings, not me. But I'm responsible for being honest in my own relationships. If I want to tell you, Jarad, this isn't working, whatever it is, you need to take more hit-ups or whatever, that's up to you to respond to that. You could say, no, my workload's fine. I don't need to conserve energy for our scrums. That's okay. We can have an adult conversation like that. But as a coach, if I were saying, I can't talk to Jarad like that, he'll get upset. What if he leaves the team or something? That's my issue, not yours.
Yeah.
And I feel like I haven't handled things as an adult too much, enough in certain situations. And I've left things unsaid, which has allowed things to fester. If I just called things out earlier, it wouldn't have got to the point where you need forgiveness.
True. And you're right. Sometimes what you said there sort of triggered a thought too about, people are willing to take on more, for lack of better words, pain and hurt than others. So as a person, you may be like, what, I'm happy to take that on board. And, you hear, that person, look, they were just, having a bad day.
Yeah.
But they still said it, or that action still happened, but you took it on and were able to absorb it and put it out into the universe and forget about it.
Yeah.
Which is fine. But sometimes that can lead to, then it becomes a norm that person then, shoots whatever they're shooting towards you, and you're absorbing it. And then there might be a point where you may have to address the situation, but, maybe addressing it earlier is the key, but recognizing it earlier on your part. So that person may not, or those people or that situation may not know that they're hurting you or you're taking a hit, but then all of a sudden you just let it all out and tell them that for the last whatever's been happening is hurting. It's gonna be a harder conversation. So
exactly.
I think it's on that person absorbing to recognize that that's not cool what's happening. I don't know if that sounds right.
Yeah, you said a lot of great things there, Jarad. The first point was that you said, it becomes this norm that they do it to you. And the reason why they're doing it to you is because you think that you can handle it and they think you can handle it. It's like your family. You're allowed, quote unquote, allowed to yell at your family. Kids are, quote unquote, allowed to yell at their parents and say, oh, daddy, I hate you, and slam the door and that sort of thing, because we are their safe space.
Yep.
But it's a bit like, how wrestling is fake, pro wrestling is fake. That still hurts. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like when you pick somebody up and throw them over, the ropes onto a table and the table breaks, that's really happening. The intent is fake, of course. It's all scripted, but the physical stuff is real.
Yep.
That's all happening.
Yep.
So, it's like, an on-screen kiss. That's really happening. Sure, it's part of the story and it's not, the whole intention and consciousness behind it isn't, quote unquote, real, but it's happening. So even though someone's yelling at you and you're like, no, I can take it. I understand they're going through a lot. It's still happening to you,
Yeah.
isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
And you've got a debrief from that. Yeah,
yeah,
definitely.
so that's something to be really conscious of,
Mm,
that you're still taking these blows for real, even though, you've got this awareness that, okay, she's having a bad day, or he gets like this after a tough day at work, it's okay. He doesn't mean it. It's still happening.
yeah.
So yeah, there's a process that you need to go through. A wrestler goes through so many injuries,
Mm,
all of them, they're all their backs, and they're all on painkillers, and
yeah.
it
Yeah.
causes a lot of problems down the line. And it's the same with us. When we are emotionally supporting people who are giving it to us, it's
Mm.
it's real. It's happening.
I think experience comes to mind when you talk about the wrestlers. They're more experienced, so they learn how to take bumps. They learn how to take those things. As you grow older and you've taken those bumps emotionally, your reaction is more experienced, and you can at the age we are. I'm not saying that we are super experienced at everything. Far from it. But we've had our fair share of life experience, and we're able to use that life experience in the way that we react. And I guess that's that can be a good thing and a bad thing. But I'm thinking that if we, like, a lot of the times, I think if you were younger and you copped a spray, or something happened, or someone gave you a bit of a hard time, you don't really know how to deal with that.
Yeah.
When you're really young and a child, you'll cry, you'll get upset. Somebody's angry with me, and it's not my parents, that sort of thing. Like if it's something at schools happened, and you see a lot of kids get upset, then as a teenager, and you might then have all these hormones run through, so you get aggressive, and as a younger male, you've got all this. Yeah, you're in that stage of life where someone fights you, you're going to fight back.
Yeah.
As you get older, you just got to learn the right times. We're not going to argue with somebody who's carrying on like a pork chop. Yeah. Like I'm just going to be like, okay, cool, no, whatever,
Yeah.
and walk away. It's experience, like it's how to take those bumps, and what you do with that afterwards. And I'm still learning. I'm nowhere near. I don't think I'll ever be, but perfect's the wrong word. But I'm nowhere near perfect in regards to how you react to hurt feelings, or hurt someone who may have not known that they've hurt you.
Yeah. In the defense of young men, though, our brains aren't fully formed until something like 25. And
Really?
yeah, so we're making decisions when we don't actually have the tool to make those decisions.
Yep.
So, we're a lot more impulsive when we're young, and we've got,
Totally.
all those hormones, like you said, like a 14-year-old kid. I think when you hit the age of 4, your testosterone goes up by something like 400%. And then it happens again when you're around 13, 14, or, puberty, or whatever it is. So, there's a real surge of all this energy, and you don't actually know how to channel it all. So I'm just to defend young men there. Now, of course, that kind of ties into what we've been talking about, that, if you even though you can understand what they're going through, it's still real. You can understand that there's a reason why that kid stole that car and went on a joyride and crashed into a tree and killed his friend. But it's still real. Someone really died. So there are real world consequences to these things. And, when you say that, you're getting experience now, and you've got a bit more maturity to be able to handle these sorts of things and understand how to handle these bumps. I feel the same. Like, I'm only now at the age of 42 do I feel like I've earned my place at the starting line. Before all of this, I feel like I've just been, in some sort of nursery, just being trained up to be allowed to be set free in life. And now I'm like, I think I'm ready. At this age, I feel like, I think I can go and live now. So, and this is a huge part of it, being able to acknowledge that I have feelings. And as a man, like, to be able to say you hurt my feelings, especially to another man, is possibly one of the hardest things you can do. We come from a football background, and, our job was always to not show the opposition that you're hurt.
No.
It was, okay, I've got a cut on my head. Yeah, just tape it up, and, I'll keep going. I'm fine. No, it's just a flesh wound.
After the game, I'd sook and whinge and carry on and worry about how my modeling career was going. It didn't
Look,
go well, by the way.
Jarad, you're a beautiful man.
Thank you.
Look, I'm in a situation at the moment where, and I'm actually not allowed to talk about it. It's confidential.
Yep.
But look, it's been weighing on my mind a lot, and it's affected me emotionally.
Yep.
And, I'm a guy who, when I was young, I went into a meditation retreat and tried to learn to master myself, to become a better person. So, this has kind of taken me backwards a bit, and, which is on me. I've got to keep up my practice. But, I really noticed how much it was affecting me, and I've only got a few safe places to be able to unleash.
Yep.
And yesterday morning, before I headed off to work, I was with one of those safe people, and I just can't believe my language, the things I was saying. It wasn't the calm person that I aim to be, that's for sure. And but you know what? It was really important to acknowledge that was a stage of grief and acknowledgement that I needed to go through.
Yeah.
And once I got it out of my system, I was a different person. I was kind of back to the old free-loving person that the free-living, relaxed guy. But, there was a lot of tension in me. Yeah. I'd have to call it stress to get out. And sometimes that's just how you have to do it. And I'm fortunate that I was in a safe place to do it. But I can imagine that somebody was in the same position as me and somebody rear-ended them in traffic.
Oh.
And they got out of the car and that was it. They went from 100... they were already seeing red to 120. They just boom. They blew that valve and
point.
That's it. Yeah. So it makes me go back to that point earlier where you've got to understand what other people are going through, and it's really difficult. And they could already be there, but of course it's still real, isn't it?
Yeah. It's you don't know where everyone's at, and you're lucky. You've got that. We've got safe places. We're both lucky. We've got that, and to be able to relieve that stress the way that you wanted to at the time. Like you said, it wasn't you, but it did happen, and getting rid of that stress really helped you get back on track. But if somebody is carrying that around with them for days, months, years, whatever, that can really build up. And, you hear about, the old straw that broke the camel's back sort of scenario. I even heard Will Smith talk about this yesterday, actually. Did his first chat, make of it as you will, but he did his first chat, after, and I believe it's because of movies coming out. So it's after, I don't know when it might have been. Anyway, I heard it over the last few days. I don't know when it was, but basically he said that though. He said I was at the point where I was carrying a lot of stuff with me, and that was just that just triggered me because I barely remember what I did. Whatever. But essentially, he said you don't know in that audience. Someone may have lost their mum that day. Someone may have that week. Someone may be dealing with a divorce. Someone may be dealing with all these sort of things. And when you're talking to an audience, you don't know that. And, obviously that was part of his, for lack of better words, excuse of why he went up there.
Yeah. Look, it's a reason.
But it's a reason, whether make of it as you will. But I was just interesting. You sort of, made me think of what I heard over the last few days from Will Smith.
Yeah. I quite often evoke feelings of the Fresh Prince. I've been told that before.
The early days, yeah.
But look, I want to go back to something you said, Jarad, which was when you were talking about me, you said, that wasn't you. Well, it was me. Yeah, it was. I've got to put my hand up and say it's still a part of me. So I'd love to say that, no, it wasn't me. I was angry. I wasn't, and not like I took it out on that person. It was Erica, by the way. I wasn't yelling at her. I was yelling with her, if that makes, not yelling, but, I was expressing myself with her or to her. It wasn't anything about her. And, she was just a great listener as always. But, and, I can do that with another person as well, where I can say some pretty crude things and, to them, not, at them, if that makes sense. But, I have to acknowledge that is me.
Yep.
It's a part of me, and I can't excuse that. So, when we say, "Oh no, it wasn't me. I was drunk or whatever," well, that was me to put myself in that position to get like that.
Yeah.
So it's all real, is what I'm trying to say. As much as there's all reasoning behind it. Will Smith, whatever he was going through, it could have been the worst period of his entire life, but that happened. The slap happened, as we all know. We all saw it on TV. It's something that really happened that had real world repercussions for him. It changed the tone of the night for a lot of people. Should have. I shouldn't say that. Sorry, there's no such thing as should have in life.
Yeah,
but it could have been the best moment of his life. Winning an Oscar.
Yep,
and it turned into something else completely. So it did happen, and that's what I've been trying to say this whole episode. That these feelings, they're fleeting. Relationships are all fleeting. But they're real in the moment, and they have real world effects, and these ripples just go on and on and on. And that wasn't me when I was angry and I caused this car accident or whatever, when I got out and punched this guy after he rear-ended me. No, it wasn't me. I was going through all this stuff. Well, yeah, but stuff did happen because of me.
Yeah, the consequences are real. Because of an action. And I think, I'll correct myself after you said, it wasn't you. I said it wasn't you. It's probably what you don't portray outside that safe place. Like, people don't know you, but to do that. But the people that actually know you and the people that that are within your safe space know that, everybody is able to have a moment, and everyone's able, as long as it's, as long as it's safe for everybody or whatever. But like, you don't portray that to 99% of the people
but it's also important to let them know. But it's also important to let everyone know that, hey, I'm putting my hand up right now. I'm a human being. The last thing I want to do is present myself as someone who doesn't have any feelings, who can just, I'm not some Zen monk, that's for sure.
No.
And it's really important for everybody to acknowledge how human they are. And by human, I kind of mean how animal they are as well.
Yep.
Yeah. That I'm still just a normal guy. And as much as everybody's got this image they want to portray to the world, to the media, to everybody, we dress up a certain way. We want to look a certain way. We put on makeup. The way we, one of the funniest things is those professional portraits families get. When they, get the photographers in, those pictures take hours, by the way.
I know, right?
I've never had it done. My mum won some competition where we she wanted to give us a voucher to do it. Anyway, Erica spoke to the photographers. It would have taken something like 4 hours to get the photos done. 4 hours. And that's not including your own personal prep, for these out of focus, how they're really fuzzy because they want to make you look a bit better. But, how many families do you know have those perfectly framed in their houses? Like, I've seen a particular family I remember that had it, and it was like, wow, they look, this is a model family. And the parents have since split, which I knew was going to happen. This was one of those relationships. You're like, how are these people together? But it all looked great, Jared.
Yeah.
And the last thing I want to do is is to present this image like, oh yeah, Kiwi's, doing really well, or wow, he's, this. No, I'm not. I'm a normal dude. I'm actually sitting here right now in my pajamas. Yeah. I'm just some bloke who's just trying to sort himself out and deal with that thunderstorm in my head like everybody else.
Yep.
There's no one out there who's got it all together. I think we're all on the brink of enlightenment. It's right there at the end of our noses if we want it, but we're also on the brink of insanity as well. That's how I see life. And, I'm just trying to keep it together and be a good person, treat people well. But at the same time, I've got to acknowledge that I'm just this normal, basic guy who's got feelings, who's got to deal with it like an animal.
Yep. Well said. There you go. So that really cements down, that we all have feelings and we all are human. And I think the best way to do things is to remain human. If we try and be something we're not, it's going to catch up with us at some point. And it'll have real world consequences and effects that sometimes, hopefully not, but sometimes you may not be able to come back from, or it's going to take a long time to come back from. Sometimes it might only be, a short period, but I guess where I sit is, you need to have those moments that Kiwi just explained, and you need to have those times where you're able to debrief those emotions or those bumps that you've taken.
Yeah.
And I think that's a healthier way of dealing with things.
Yeah. So to debrief, you need that safe space, whether it's a professional or, if you've got strong enough relationships in your life to be able to have somebody that you can, I suppose, pre-warn them even and just say, hey, man, I really need to talk. And then you can unload. I could call you and say, Jarad, I've had this really bad day. And you could say, oh, what happened? I could just swear my head off, tell you everything, and it'd be totally fine for you. Whereas, if I don't say anything to you and we just do some sparring or something and I go extra hard because I've got all this tension in me and I can't get it out. And you're like, oh, what's wrong here? Geez, Kiwi's not like this. What's wrong? And I'm still not talking about it. Well, it's going to come out sideways. So, it's really healthy and it's really important to invest in those relationships, I suppose, at other times because, we need each other. That's what makes humanity, I suppose. It's this collective of people, consciousness even, that makes us human. And, in the wise words of Jarad Weston, be human.
I was hoping you'd bring that up again.
Well, they are very wise words.
There you go. Be human.
To be is the challenge of life, Jarad, to just simply be. And, by acknowledging all parts of us, that's how we can be wholly human. And that includes the animal in us. So let it out, people. You've got feelings. They get hurt. It's life. Talk about it. Get it out. Thanks, Jarad.
What he said. Thanks, mate. Bye.
Oh, and I just wanted to say, happy birthday, Sari.